because I didn't perfect a bail, they said. And we thought the magistrate case was written off. And the person said Kemi didn't have a warrant from magistrate court. It's a cancelled warrant. They had no right to rearrest her. But anyway, I was kept for 24 hours and I did the paperwork and I went. So going back was good for me because I went to JJ. I said, JJ, oh my God, you are a murderer. JJ and his friends entered a Zenith Bank in Owerri. And they went in there, killed police, mercilessly took money. And everybody remembers JJ. Did you ever see the Zenith video? JJ was the one that came out in the back seat and was shooting at the police. And then he went back in the car, went back, and they started shooting at the police again. But we couldn't see the police. Yeah, we couldn't see the police in the view. So if you go to the picture of their arrest, they have them shackled with handcuffs and their weapons in front of them. JJ is the one with the puffy chicks in front.
You met him in prison?
Yes, Owerri. Real bad Owerri armed robbers are in Port Harcourt.
You just said with him?
Yes, I just said with him. I did.
How does he feel?
JJ carried my Ghana must go to the gate on the day I was living with everybody, you know, following me and crying and singing. He was the one that carried my Ghana must go. So when I came back, I had already seen the video outside. So coming back for that day, I said, hey, JJ, come here. Damn, that police you kill, JJ. Hey, the police son don't die for funeral. You know, one of the police officers' son died in the funeral, 5-year-old. I said, they don't go fund me for the mother. The mama, they don't raise go fund me for her. Nakayode Budamisi and Punch don't raise money. I said, now you kill that police like that. I saw the gun, everything. He said, you see him? I said, no, they don't.
Did you ask him why he did that?
I'm robbery, no money, no jobs in the country. Say you're going to hear the same stories.
Did you ask him?
Yeah. The second
said that
time.
was the issue?
I thought that was good for my book because going back and seeing JJ and said, JJ, I just saw what you did. I know I don't really like police.
Any remorse?
No remorse.
No remorse?
Whatsoever.
He doesn't give a hoot?
No. No remorse.
And he has not been sentenced yet?
I haven't even gone to trial. I'm waiting. And they're starving every day. They pay to come out of their cells, 50 naira. The men. If they're cell generals, you may not let them come out. They have to pay to come out. Can you believe it?
Well, interesting story. You get to hear the full gist on this program today, State of the Nation. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about our Mumu Don't Do. Nigeria's political dogma has been like a goat that is tired of eating raw yam. The goat envies its owner who loves yam porridge made with dry fish. The goat waited for its owner who was preparing for a small feast to go to the market. It then went into the kitchen to make yam porridge for itself. Opportunity comes but once, so the goat used the biggest pot in the house and peeled more than 5 tubers of yam from the barn. It made a feast for itself using the dry fish and meat its owner kept for a small feast, a plan for his friends. It was a good meal. The goat ate to its satisfaction and planned to build its own kitchen. The owner of the goat came back to find that his dry fish and meat were gone. He can't disappoint his friends. The feast must take place, so he decided to kill the goat for the feast. How Muhammadu Buhari fits into these analogies sets me thinking. Does he represent the yam eaters ready to set the kitchen on fire? Beyond rhetoric and intention, will Buhari be able to make a feast for the people using the glutinous yam eaters? Charlie Boy is our next guest.
Our Mumu Don't Do campaign group has been in the news in recent times, and you, Mr. Charles Oputa, has been the arrowhead. How far, how well has the campaign gone?
Well, we're not taking inventory in terms of how far or how well. We're a few group of people who are committed to just being a better environment. And I'm not the one that really started our Mumu Don't Do. It was started by a set of people I described as the exceptional Nigerian youth, because I've always said that the salvation of this country lies in the hands of the exceptional youth. So when they approached me to come and support them, you know, I thought it was the right thing to do, because for long have not factored in the equation of leadership in this country, because they've been quite docile over the years. So I thought this as a sort of awakening. I promised them that I was going to support, inspire, and encourage them in those lines. And then when I talk about the exceptional Nigerian youth, I'm not talking about just the ones in my backyard, the ones in your backyard. I'm talking globally. And nobody can tell me otherwise that young Nigerian youths have not been doing well in the global community. If you go to Harvard, it's run by young Nigerian youth. If you go to NASA, they're there. If you go to the British Parliament, they're there. If you talk about sports, we're everywhere. So why, for Christ's sake, does things not work out in our own system? That's because we have more or less ignored the stupidity of the ruling class.
You lead a campaign of young people. It seems you are still young at heart. Is that the point you are trying to make?
Well, everybody knows that for the past 45 years of my existence of being child born, I've always supported the underdog. Yeah. And yes, the exceptional youths that I've met, I've been privileged to meet in my lifetime, have inspired me, have encouraged me. And so if I have an opportunity to pay back and inspire a million more and encourage a million more, then so be it.
The Nigerian state seems to lack appropriate remedies to its simple problems. How would the movement you lead help this stalemate?
Well, I don't think we're posturizing as the Messiah or Jesus Christ or the supreme leader or anything like that. We're trying to make our own little contribution to say that, if we can keep on this sensitization, keep educating people, there's some people who will pick the message. There's some people who will motivate other people. And this is how it happens. You can see that in the Resume or the Resign campaign, it was not more than 10 people that started all of that somehow forced the hand of the federal government to bring back our president.
You feel that was what happened?
I beg your pardon?
So you feel it was the campaign that made the president to rush home?
If I feel, I don't feel, I know. We have the story. It's not about feeling or thinking. I know. Nobody was ready to ask any question. Nobody saw that it was an abnormal situation till the kid went on the barricade line and said, no, resume or resign. And then the London people took it up. If he had not come back that week, it would have been a protest all over the world, all over the globe, wherever you see Nigerians especially. Yeah.
So the events that happened in the market that day has not discouraged you?
I'm never discouraged. If people really know who I am, I started to build a brand that my parents even didn't believe in, and that brand has been as consistent as ever. It's the same thing I talked about 40 years, that's the same thing I'm talking about now. What does that say? I'm the same person 40 years ago, the same person now.
Can you briefly tell us what really happened in the market that day?
Well, it's the same market I always go to do my advocacy work when I'm doing I've been there to do say no to drugs. trying to get the young people to cut off or not even get into the habit at all. I've been there on behalf of the widows of Nigeria. There are a lot of Charlie Boy fans in the market. And if you know anything about the brand Charlie Boy, I always go to secondary school, university, motor park, Okada park, just to preach the gospel. Yeah? So that day was not an exception, and we didn't go looking for trouble. And we were almost through. We were on our way going when all of a sudden some buses filled with thugs and hooligans came attacking us. You know, and we had to run for dear life because we didn't go to make trouble. And resume or resign was not about President Buhari. You know, it was just about, you know, the country derailing in everything that is abnormal becoming normal, and we're saying no, this is not right. You know, but yes, obviously, you know, it was turned into either a religious opposition or a tribal one, which is so sad. That is all the instruments that they use to keep us at each other's throat. And that is why we say our mumu is enough. My best friends are from the north or from the west, even more than my king's people from the east. So we're all intertwined, and that is why I preach the message of peace and one Nigeria, even though it's becoming a little tricky.
That brings me to the next question. You believe in one Nigeria, but you have reservation about the dance of the python in Igbo land. Is it that you don't like snakes?
There's tension, there's great tension in the land. Do we need all this tension? I mean, militarizing the East looks somehow to me. Couldn't the police handle this? And they wanted to call Nnamdi Kanu to order, went the other way. Because you see, it's just like when they put out this ultimatum from the Arewa youth, and then they later withdrew it, or supposedly withdrew it. But before they even withdrew the ultimatum, there's been a song that has been in circulation in the social media, cutting out people from the East. So sometimes when you start on this divisiveness and hate messaging, it breathes a life of its own. Where it finally ends, nobody knows. So it's better that you try to keep things down than to aid the tension. And I think by the military showing up in the East, it's just aiding the tension. Because the slightest provocation now, we don't know what's going to happen.
Are you calling on the president to withdraw the army from the southeast?
We've already issued a statement. The group has already issued a statement precisely.
The program is State of the Nation. I am discussing with Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy. He's one of the arrowheads of the campaign, Mumu Don't Do. Mr. Oputa, does your listen makes you sad and you want her to be brought home to be beaten by the law? Why do you trust this law that is afraid of dealing with her likes?
It's not that we really trust Nigerian judiciary. I know my father is weeping in his grave knowing the things that I used to tell him 15 years ago, that the judiciary he left is not the same. We always used to have that argument. He always told me that I see things from a youthful perspective. Maybe I'm so much in a hurry that this change that I want. I said, no, this is really reality on the ground. So the journey for the young people, the Mumu Don't Do movement, it's like a symbol. We are saying to the government, today you're fighting corruption. Okay, with this one, the one that we'll put before you, can you get a conviction, or is this corruption fight just a media storm just to embarrass those alleged corrupt officials? So for me, because it wasn't just the youths we're talking about, they were talking about all the other known faces whose name has been attached to grand corruption in Nigeria.
You need change. The change you talk about, is it different from the change the APC talks about?
I don't know about that kind of change. I'm talking about the change the young people, the few exceptional young people talk about. A change in the paradigm shift. A change in the status quo, a change how young people view politics, a change that young people should understand that they don't have a future unless they are part of the decision making. So as such, they should stop agonizing and start to organize themselves. There is no reason why young people cannot get into politics. Politics is only a dirty game and an evil game because our elders and our leaders have made it so. So those youths, we're addressing them. It's time for them to start to come back to, because nobody's going to do it for them. If everybody raises their hand up in the air and decides to still remain docile, so how is this going to change? Because it's not going to change until young people start to know that they are talking about their future, that they must get involved, or else nothing for them.
Mr. Charles Oputa, thank you for featuring on the program State of the Nation.
Thank you for having me.
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation with Edmond, Obilo.
All right, Charlie Boy, Charles Chukwuemeka Oputa there in that interview with Edmond Obilo. Charles Oputa, by the way, is 66 years of age, but then still comes himself a youth. He has a young mind and has been at the forefront of issues affecting the youth. That was that interview on Mumu Don't Do, the particular movement. But let's move on now. Let's talk about power. Ideological power is the argument and beliefs upon which a political system is hinged. Power is mostly driven by the dominant actors in the political system. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels were of the view that the ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. The point is that the class which owns the means of material production in any society also controls the means of mental production. This means that the ruling class, through their superior cultural and spiritual instinct, manipulates society in their own interest, thus becoming the definers of the ideological foundation of societies. How do the masses of the people feature in this power game? How can the people resolve the dominant influence of a few elites? Our next guest will help in this regard.
It's always good to be with you, Edmond. Do the Nigerian people have any power? When I looked at the topic you sent, I started to have a little bit of trouble being able to place the Nigerian people as well as power in a democracy, whatever democracy, because what you said was like, is there a kind of situation where you have corruption as well as violence in a democracy? And if it so happens, then what is the power of the people? And then I will ask you, is there a democracy where there is no corruption? Is there a democracy where there is no violence? Can we actually say that there is no violence in the American type democracy right now? And can we even say that there's no corruption in the South African democracy? So the people will always have the power anywhere they find themselves on this realm. If it is about Nigeria, it's about anywhere else, the power ultimately belongs to the people, even if it is not in a democracy.
In the true sense of the word, in your country, does the power belong to the people?
The power would always belong to the people in my country, but the thing is, how many are aware of such enormous powers in their hands? And that is perhaps what is the tragedy of Nigeria. If you could have a people that survived having to do all that they did during the dictatorship of Babangida and was able to cripple the nation and even render economic activities dead during the Nadeko period, and that forced Babangida to step aside. Then the people should just be very sure that in a democracy, their powers are actually doubled.
From what you see, don't it appear to you that Nigerians have become helpless?
The helplessness of Nigeria could be traced to the way their means of livelihood have been eroded. But then it does not mean that they should feel comfortable in that kind of situation, because if they are, then they don't deserve any liberty. You have to fight for it. And in which case, if anybody is telling us about peace, I want to say to Nigerians, peace is not warlessness. To achieve peace is an integral process that has to be fought for. Nobody will give you. Nobody. No leader will want to give it to you.
Can protests be a way of the people assuming their powers?
If the people are ready tomorrow to assume those powers that are given to them, not because somebody has said, I want to give you powers, but those powers actually belong to them, given to them by the Constitution, yes, but they ultimately have had the powers ever before the Constitution was formulated. If they are ready tomorrow, they know what to do.
If you sit down there and allow the wrong things to happen, they will continue to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because even when you look at dictatorships and they try to muzzle the people, it's because of the fear of the people. People just don't understand how powerful they are. If they say don't go on an assembly, we are sending soldiers, we are carrying out an operation cry, crocodile or crocodile tears, it's because they fear the people, they fear an assembly. But the people, when they are ready, they will always do what is meant to be done, because they will not allow it. But they allow it when they see their godfathers, those that they feel that they have an allegiance to, not actually digging the ground and pouring a lot of money in hard currency, but they have actually dug the ground and built mansions and built hotels and built edifices with the same money that is as good as the one they have buried, and then they just continue to hail such people.
Do we need a paradigm shift?
I'm not in support of a revolution, because I have studied history and I've not seen a particularly resoundingly successful revolution. I studied the French Revolution.
The Russian Revolution of 1917
was too much of a bloodshed, and so was the Chinese revolution.
The French Revolution of 1789.
The French Revolution even made a mess of democracy. I mean, there was a time we had about 7 presidents in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
How do you now begin to talk of
the Georgian Revolution led by Edward Shahbanazi?
Yes, that was actually something that resembled something close to a successful revolution. But then, in our own climb, I would rather want to agree that we can evolve. And in evolving, we should begin to look at the kind of structure that we can build around the kind of people that we have. And that is the mistake we made. The presidential system was never meant for us. And that is the truth. You see, you could see the South African parliament in which you will find parliamentarians telling their president, you are corrupt, you are not fit to be here.
You are a thief.
You are a thief. And you could see what goes on the floor of the parliament in the UK.
Zuma at the time didn't know what to say.
He didn't know what to say.
He was confused.
Exactly, because he was just a previous interpreter. They're all in parliament. And that is the way it is. Let us go back to that parliamentary system of government. In which case, even if you are going to be a minister, you have to have been elected.
Well, we tried it at the time.
It was tried and it was truncated simply because the military came in, and the military always will want to rule by order. The order thing is what has made that unitary system to be somewhat federal. And the 1979 Constitution actually got it wrong. It got it wrong. If you look at the 1979 Constitution, it's just a mirror of the American Constitution. But the people that make up the American public space are different from us. The Yoruba always have had in their traditional systems where there were checks and balances. The Oba could be told to go and shiba, and that is to go and commit suicide. There were checks. In which case, even the king, his son, the Aremo, would be checkmated by the Ogboni and then the Oyomesi and the rest of it. But then we had the feudal north, where whatever the Sultan says, nobody will be able to even look him in the face, let alone challenge him.
Is that part of the contradiction of the Nigerian state?
Absolutely. And that is the reason why we should actually begin to explore something close to regionalism.
Do you feel the North is a behemoth?
The North is not just a behemoth. If you studied how Nigeria came together, you will realize that the North was even kept away from the South for about 60 years because the South was carrying the burden of funding the whole federation. And I will tell you something else. In 1959, before Awolowo left, the federal government sought for and got a loan from the old Western region, and it was 16 million. They only paid 8 million back. In which case, what was the 16 million used for by the federal government? And they had to now look for a loan from the Western region. Apapa local government here alone contributes about 60% to the income of Nigeria, non-oil, in a year. And if you put all the 19 states together, what do they contribute? Is it up to 8%?
So what are you driving at?
What I'm driving at is there must be a fiscal as well as a political restructuring of Nigeria. We can't just continue this way.
You are an unrepentant critic of President Muhammadu Buhari. I wonder why.
I'm a critic of President Muhammadu Buhari based on principles. It's not so much about anything personal, and I can state them if you want me to. I was in school, the final year in university, when he took over. And I was able to see everything that he did then. And if we are going to go back to be talking about that, that will take a long time. But that's not what I want to say. I want to talk about what he did or did not do after he was ousted in 1985. For someone who wants to badly rule Nigeria and tried for 12 years, I would have expected that since he left in 1985, he would have improved upon himself. He would have either gone back to school, like some of his colleagues did, or perhaps joined the trail of others who left the military service to become somewhat very active in the business world, in which case he could have been on board of any of these huge companies, or perhaps
it's a matter of choice.
It's a matter of
you can sit in your home and develop yourself.
You could, but then of course we should be able to see what you've been able to do. Has he been able to give a lecture or written an article, even tackling any issue? This republic had been like 16 years old before he came in as president. But then in 16 years of our democracy, What did he contribute before he became president?
Don't forget, he had been contesting election from 2003.
So he should have had
contributing in
ideas.
the conversation.
He wasn't contributing, was not actually going for any debate. We didn't quite hear of much.
So what has that got to do with Buhari as a president?
It's got to do with the depth of where you're coming from. It's got to do with his ability and his capacity to rule a multi-ethnic, multi-social, religious community.
Obviously, you are not satisfied with his performance so far.
In places where I think he may have done something, like this letter that he wrote before he traveled, I would say that he did the right thing. Looking at how we got to where we were in 2010, when unceremoniously President Yar'Adua traveled without actually naming the vice president as the acting president. He's done something.
Electricity, roads, education.
The problem is, he came with this idea and his party that they were going to fix everything. And that if you want electricity 24 hours, then let us come in. And then, you see, when you look at the situation with electricity, we have a problem with the fact that the government does not even have all the powers to make electricity work. Some of these things are not within their control.
Has he failed?
He has failed.
He has failed.
He has failed. There's no doubt about that.
Brigadier Edmond, thank you for featuring on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that interview, Boyega Dejimo there saying power belongs to the people. We take that alongside that of Charles Oputa, Charlie Boy, of the Mumu Don't Do movement. So open the phone lines so you once again to weigh in on these, and let's get your own contributions. The phone lines to call 0905 648 7177, 0905 648 7177, and 0902 427 3808, 0902 427 3808, and 0703 175 9177, 0703 175 9177. And for you to drop your WhatsApp messages, use the 0703 175 9173, 0703 175 9173, and on social media is at Rave 917 FM for both Twitter and Facebook. Let's take our first call. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. What's the name where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Dotun.
Your name again, please?
Dotun.
Dotun from Ileife. Let's have a contribution.
Listening to Charlie Boy and then the other, I think the problem of Nigeria, according to the contributor, is actually restructuring. Given that, because if you look at it very well, from the last program that Obilo did, he talked about American founding fathers having business. I mean, they have the kind of structure in which America is now operating on. And many countries like that we talk about today has been developed. They have something that their founding fathers did. So Nigeria has derived from, we don't even know if our founding fathers have any structure. So when people are talking about the youth, are you getting me? Yeah, when people are talking about the youth taking the answers that they are coming to politics, what are they coming to do when there is no structure on ground? I think the problem of Nigeria is so back on that. The restructuring is the reason, and to state the fact is that Nigeria is also, I think Nigeria needs a second independence from this thing. Are you getting my point?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dotu. Thank you so much. Hello. Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon. What's the name where you're calling from?
Yeah, Femi calling from Onward.
Thank you, Mr. Lawal.
Mr. Charles Okuta, aka Charlie Boy, is a Nigerian I very much admire. During his time when he was doing his Zoom program, and even after that, and he stands on Idris Abdul Karim at 50 Cent Fight when he was Freeman president. And immediately he started our Mood On Do movement. I was one of the very earliest people that stand up through social media for that movement. But I think his sojourn, his romance with the Adeyanju, the man that started the Zoom or resign, calling on President Muhammad to come back, I think it's a misadventure as far as I'm concerned. Because the who he said the exceptional youth, Nigerian youth, is the Adeyanju in the caliber of exceptional Nigerian youth.
What have you against the Adeyanju?
The Adeyanju was part of our young leader then. The Adeyanju, if you recall, was the new media director of PDP when they were looting our money in Nigeria. Where did he get his wage from? The Adeyanju is living an E class. What is his work? When the Adeyanju started this work, we told him. But when Charles Okuta now signed on that, decided to zoom and design, and their misadventure to enter his market. What started this to enter his market? When they have the big spread there, when they have the unity square there, where they can go and do whatever they want to do as a Nigerian.
Let me ask you a question. Thus, serving in the previous government take away the voice of the Adeyanju and other youths who want to talk?
If you go and look at what the Adeyanju has always been standing for, before let's start from there. Before now, they just tell people, and I think it will be delusional for Mr. Charles Okuta to say their protest forced Muhammadu Buhari back to Nigeria.
Okay, but yes, taking away the Adeyanju from this particular conversation. Your own mumu, you don't do.
See, our mumu has always remained the same. It never do, and it's even still there. It is when you say exceptional youth, is it because the Adeyanju had a voice through what the government participated in? Let's try to put out form a real movement and see how real youth that will come out and support it.
All right, and then
when they said the Adeyanju should come back, how many days did they protest? That the woman that stole our money should come back. Just 3 days and they are tired.
Okay, for Goyega Adejumo's take, do you think that power belongs to the people here in Nigeria?
The power belongs to people, but unfortunately we don't know how to use our power. I recall one of my professors in Yoruba University, Professor Yemi Shonaya, write something about power and how the people should use it. We don't exercise our rights, we don't exercise our power. And when they see you stand up and you are exercising your rights, people will tag you all sorts of names. So it's very unfortunate. Nigerians are a set of people that will have the power. The power is there, but they will not be able to use it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Femi Walls. Thank you so much for joining us on State of the Nation again. Hello, good afternoon. That dropped. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, well, you can make use of the other lines: 0703-175-9177, 0902-427-3808, and 0905-648-7177. Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, well done.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yeah, network will not allow me to make my point the other time. Yeah, but on this topic you say, let me start from Taliban. You know, Taliban, as even his father, if you can remember, Okuta Pale, very point. He has been advocate, of peace. Very point. And let me come to that. This is the problem we are having in Nigeria. And that's why I'm saying, me or my own dudu don't do. The other people, their own dudu can their own mumu can still continue. You are talking about Deji Adeyanju because he is a part of the former government. Are you saying he staying forever? If you are talking about most of our youth having in this nation talk about the former coup leader in this country that have come back to become the democratic president. If you are looking for people that should not be talking people that have committed coup against country, you can never talk about that. But because somebody is part of a
Well, it seems we lost. Thank you. Let me ask you this question, Emmanuel. Just before I let you go, shouldn't people who have committed offenses, financial crimes or what have you, against the Nigerian state should face the consequence?
That is.
Oh, Emmanuel, I hope you can call back. But let's take some more calls and then check messages also if we have on our social media platforms. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, Mr. Femi Lawal is calling back.
Thank you, Lawal.
Yeah, you see, when leaders, past leaders, that committed, that planned coup against democratic elected leaders, and they left and they are there, we have not been able to put them where they are. That's why we still have the 5 Martian generals that decided whoever will become president. It was only Muhammad Buhari that became the president against their wish. And when we are in a democratic setting and somebody participated in a government that looted us dry and he has not done restitution, but no
one, Mr. Lawal, no one has come out to say, well, any of these people you're talking about stole money or put their hand in the till. There is no allegation, the question is not facing any trial. It's not been.
My dear brother, it is because of the set of people we are. Nigerians being who we are. That is why somebody. Well, that's why the Bible says, we will see people that are not supposed to even put their mouth in our affairs again. They'll be the one directing us on where to go. And we will have the capacity, we will have power to.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Let's take some more calls. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, it's not the other side.
Well, I like you to just make it quick now because of our time.
Yes. What I want to say is that if you are now saying the agenda is leading a protest, what then will you say about some members of this current government that are in power 365 days to election and now they are in power? Nobody is talking about them. I'm talking about do power belong to people? Yes, power belongs to people, but unfortunately in this country is not. The kind of power people have is only to go and vote, and after you vote, you are stripped of your power. When you come out to vote, they continue to label you opposition party.
All right, thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Please, in just 30 seconds.
When the president was transmitted a letter to National Assembly articulating that I'm going out to take care of myself and somebody will ask on my behalf till I come back. And so the way we find our law is when there is a security problem must come back. So what is the article for the process in the first instance? We should get our things right again before we start talking about.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lawal. Hello, good afternoon. That dropped. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, well, you can make use of our WhatsApp line also. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Olanipekun.
Thank you very much for joining us. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Bode Olutade from Malaysia.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Actually, it's an interesting program for today in which we have another anchor. I want to indicate the fact that we are breed of where we learn, from whom we learn, who is our teacher, and how we are, particularly as individuals. So what I want to say in the fact that as you are presenting this program, the State of the Nation today, you are a breed of your own, quite different from that of Edmond Obilo. Because when we talk about, evaluating the program, Obilo talks just as if he's acting on the radio, which everybody, brings together everybody. So, but what we are saying about government is the fact that we can't stay outside and see what is actually, happening in the government. Except, we pray and ask God to lead them with his wisdom, because they say it is, like the Bible says, it says you can't be better than your teacher. But if your teacher teaches you well, you will just behave, you act just like your teacher. That's what the Bible says. And whatever we see, whichever position we have the opportunity of serving the people, we dictate our breed. And that's what we are seeing in governance now. Don't do. Peter Oputa is displaying his breed. Like somebody said that Buhari never did anything since he came out of office in 1985. What do you want him to be? He joined politics, and from this politics he has been learning, and it is what he has learned now that he wants to use in changing the country. Can't we give him an opportunity?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Lutade. Because of our time, we take this short musical break. J1 will be up singing here, "Oh My Nigeria." That's the title of the song. We'll come back to give you that interview with Kemi Omololu Olunloyo.
It's showtime.
All around the world they show me love. Nigerian boy, we no sell out. Brother, stand for what you believe in. Fight for your motherland. We no gain to be as long as we believe we go better one day. United we stand, divided we fall. If we don't fight, we will die like a small. United we stand, divided we fall. If we ever come together, we will never fall.
Kilo betening home no more di beta maso sanalom muasa benge kaputo
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation with Edmond. Obilo.
All right. Well, thank you so much for staying with us right here on the State of the Nation on Rave 91.7 FM. Let's give you that story and the interview about Kemi Omololu Olunloyo, the Nigerian journalist, a pharmacist, activist, and social media personality who was recently released from a Port Harcourt prison after spending 81 days in detention. She was remanded in prison for purportedly publishing materials believed to have defamed an influential cleric. That's talking about Pastor David Ibiyomi of the Salvation Ministries in Port Harcourt. Kemi Omololu Olunloyo will tell her prison story on this edition of State of the Nation. Let's listen to this.
The program is State of the Nation. I am Edmond Obilo. On this part of the program, my guest is the popular Kemi Omololu Olunloyo. Some call her the snitch lady. She's a Nigerian journalist, a pharmacist, and a social media personality. Kemi Omololu, it's good to have you on State of the Nation.
Wow, it's really good to be on your show. And this is my first time with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Did prison humble you?
No, it made me hardened. A bigger harasser. Nigerian prison doesn't humble anybody. It hardens you, it makes you become worse. When you come out, you say that the people that locked me here, I'm going after them. And it's usually the government. That's why so many prisoners, I ended up as politicians.
But when you came out from prison, you told the world that you were not married to Jesus.
That doesn't mean I'm
loyal, married to Jesus.
That doesn't mean
before you went to prison, that was not the you we know.
Yeah, because I didn't like the Bible before I went to prison. The Bible is full of stories and things that are unimaginable. When I went to prison, I was still like that. But in prison, there's 5 churches that come to see us every day. So I started saying, let me go and see what they're doing in that church. Let me read the Bible. And then Bible study, I was like, okay, I believe the prophets of old. And I started seeing things in the Bible that I've never seen before. They say you have to read the Bible more than once to see, what's really in it. So and I said, Jesus found me. I didn't find Jesus. Jesus found me in prison.
And Jesus humbled you?
Not really. We married. So some people thought, oh, she's born again, she's repented. No, I didn't have a reason to repent. I didn't have a reason to be born again. I don't like those rhetorical terms, born again, this one, that. I'm never humble. Obilo, I'm never humble. I'm
Since
like Golda Meir.
Since you came out from prison, have you read the Bible?
I read it every day, and I do Bible study every day with my family.
You're not going to kick the Bible aside anymore?
No, I love the Bible now.
You have come to stay with the Bible?
Yes, I love the Bible. I even like the Quran because I bashed both books before I went to prison. The Bible's a prayer tool. That's it. Don't come describing me as repentant. I got mad at media saying she's repented, she's born again. I just like the Bible now. It's no big deal. I'm not humble. I'm never humble. Have you ever heard of Golda Meir, Israeli Prime Minister? The original Iron Lady?
Yeah.
She said it. Don't be humble. Anything you want, go get it. The worst you can hear is no. You never need to be humble.
And when you came out, you wrote on your Instagram page that you enjoyed prison.
I really did. Nigerian prisons. I went twice.
It was fun, right?
It was fun, and I'm writing a book about the prison.
What made it fun?
Obilo, I was arrested in America for accusing a judge of putting my child in a foster home where he was abused. They said it sounded like a threat, and they locked me up for 6 months without trial in America.
You eloped to Canada?
No, I didn't elope. I came home. Those charges in America, 6 months, no trial, nothing. Okay, a lot of them were dropped. I moved home finally. And then I ran to Canada after that incident. You remember that election violence in Ibadan where they attacked some stations, blah, blah, blah. I used that opportunity to leave the country with the kids. We went to Canada. We were actually going back to the United States, and we went through Canada. When we now stopped, and they offered me asylum. And I said, okay, free house, free work permit, free this, health care. I stayed in Canada. So I became a refugee. I applied for refugee status, and I was going to be given permanent resident, but I was doing something else in the background. I was antagonizing gun laws. Black children getting killed and shot every day. So I teamed up with the police, and I told the police, I know the shooters, I know the killers. And the police said, really? What kind of woman is this? They loved me. Didn't you see what Toronto police wrote about me when I was deported?
They love you?
Anyone can go online and Google it. Toronto police.
They said you were a flight risk. The reason you needed to be detained for
that is not the Toronto police. That is the Toronto Border Services Agency, the immigration. What happens is that when they're sending you back home, many Nigerians and other people from other countries, they'll hide in Canada. They'll go to the remote areas. In my case, they thought I was going to do that. I wasn't going to hide. So they called me a flight risk. And then they detained me in Vanier Women's Center, the maximum women prison in Canada.
You are used to being detained.
For 7 days.
You like being detained?
No, I'm a prisoner of conscience. Always detained, never convicted.
Do you have conscience?
Prisoner of conscience, never convicted. I love snitching. If you don't snitch, you don't know what's going on.
Do you have conscience?
I have conscience.
You enjoyed the prison walls.
The prison walls is the walls no one's supposed to ever see. What did I see in that American prison? Well, that wasn't a prison, that was a jail. There's 2 differences. Jail, after conviction, prison. So I didn't see an American prison, I saw an American jail. 6 months.
What did you see in the Port Harcourt prison?
Port Harcourt prison, it's unimaginable. My book, straight out of PH Max, is coming out January. I saw stuff that the Nigerian government does not want anybody to know.
The prison is dirty, right?
Very bad. Filthy, filthy, filthy. And it's not just filthy that we can't clean it. If you're a prisoner, you have to sweep in the morning, fetch water, do all stuff. I didn't do anything. No one knew who I was. I just became authoritative as I got there. If you don't want to do work in prison, you'll pay somebody to do it for you. I had money.
And then you became oppressive too.
Yeah.
You became oppressive.
Oppressive as in?
In the prison.
Like oppress other people?
Oppressing some inmates there.
All the time. All the time.
Why did you oppress
them? There are 3 classes of inmates in Port Harcourt prison. First is the maximum prison. Cell 1, the big girls. That's us. We call it GRA. Okay? GRA. GRA in Port Harcourt is where all the rich people live. So they name cell 1 GRA. The big high class cases. Okay, Oluchi, assassin. Okay, big people pay her money in any currency. She'll go find people to kill them. All right? Chioma, EFCC. Okay, so many EFCC girls in my, just fraud. They'll take your money. Okay, Chioma, what did you do? Somebody said I should loan her 10 million. I told her 3 million interest. She gave me the 3 million. I carried it and I left. And now they came to arrest me. Blah blah blah. And then of course the journalists. That's where they put me. And also the Belay girls when they've had the babies. When I say Belay girls, we have child trafficking in Southeast Nigeria. Like a typical evening when they lock us back up at 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock, the gates open into the female wing and you see 7 pregnant women coming and 1 not pregnant. The one that's not pregnant is their madam. The one that sells the babies for 1.2 million. 200,000 for the mother, 1 million for the madam, and the baby sold for 1 million.
You saw that in the
prison. Oh yes, so they go to sell too. All those trafficking, the kidnappers. The small girls, 16 to 19 kidnappers. They use them to lure people for the kidnappers, the males. The males go to the male side. And also the cultists, the girls that work with the cultist gangs to behead people. Those village girls that can't talk, everybody sells too. So cell 2 is for the house girls. All our house girls were there. So every cell 1 inmate had a house girl or 2 or 3.
He told me a story of one of the inmates.
Yeah.
They told to make noodles for you.
Yeah, Indomie and egg.
And she messed it up.
She messed it up. I gave her an egg and an Indomie. I said, go and make my food. Everyone knows that you have to boil the egg and put it in the Indomie. And I gave her 2 peppers and onions. Instead of her to take the peppers and onion and let me see it in my noodles and my boiled egg on top of it, what she did was she took my peppers and onions with the egg and put fried egg on the noodles. They do that in Lagos too. That's another way of cooking it. But I got mad because I thought she knew she had to boil it. So I said, Teresa, come here. I will crack your head if you ever do this again.
How much did you pay her?
30 naira. 30 for the stove, 30 for her. We rent the stove, 30 naira.
Businesses go on in prison.
Yes, lots of it.
Tell me about this business.
Oh my God, we had our cell general. Ndidi, shout out if you're listening. She wouldn't be listening. She can't hear. We're shut out. No TV, no radio, nothing. Ndidi is serving a 21-year sentence for fighting with someone. The person died during the fight. So she served 10 years already. So inmates like that, convicts like that, they're the ones that are like permanent stuff under their bed. Under Ndidi's bed is 5 Ghana Moscow, the biggest sizes. It's a supermarket under there. You go there. Indy, I want chocolate milk. Indy, I want this milk, this powdered, whatever. You know, the sachet stuff. She had them in there. And then we have babies, we have children.
You have babies in prison?
Yeah, babies and children in the prison that live with us.
Babies belonging to inmates?
To inmates, yeah.
How come babies stay in prison?
Well, let me tell you what's going on over there. Sandra had a 2-year-old in that prison, Excellence. And Gladys had Precious, another little 2-year-old girl. And what happens is that when you're arrested, you must take your child with you or give it to a family member. The people that come into Port Harcourt prison didn't like their family members or they didn't have any. So the children came with them. When the children become 2 and a half, they have to go to motherless babies' home. The other class of children that come to the prison are, if you come in pregnant and it's time for you to have a baby,